So today we will be reviewing one of the best uh, authors that I know of out of all the books I've read. His are really easy and engaging and fun to read, while teaching a lot of life lessons, which is pretty rare. So this one, Richard Branson. The book is The Virgin Way. Ignore the name. I mean, he's the founder of Virgin Airlines and Virgin Music and Virgin Magazine and a lot of Virgin stuff. Virgin Atlantic. He talked about once he was starting a business called Virgin Brides. Oh, yeah, it doesn't make sense. Anyhow, so getting to this book, the Virgin Way is more focused on leadership, but there was one story in this book that I really loved. It was certainly like eye-opening to say the least. So anyways, just 1 second, let me find it. Here it is. But there was another more serious occasion when Dad's parenting skills have stuck with me forever. So, on the odd occasion, I had been guilty of helping myself to a few pennies from the loose change that Dad used to unload from his pockets into the top drawer in his bedroom wardrobe. To my childish amusement, I had also discovered it was the same drawer where Dad kept his secret stash of what we used to call dirty books. But I digress. Anyways, helping myself to his change was never something I saw as stealing per se. In my juvenile mind, I was just kind of borrowing it and we'd simply never established the repayment terms and structure. Anyhow, as it turned out, however, I was the one who was about to get repaid by getting myself into a lot of trouble. We lived just around the corner from a sweet shop, and I'd been using my ill-gotten gains to buy chocolate, with Cadbury's fruit and nut being my particular favorite. One day though, I'd taken a much bigger loan than usual from my dad's wardrobe bank and promptly done my part to boost Cadbury's shareholder value. The old lady who owned the shop, who at the time was probably all of 40 years old, quickly smelled a rat. She said nothing to me, but the next time I was in the shop in the company of my father, she staggered me by blurting out, "Now I don't want to get him into any trouble, Mr. Branson, but I don't know where young Richard is getting all his money from. He's becoming quite my best customer, so I do hope he isn't stealing." That's a very sly way to put it. I remember her words like it were yesterday and thinking, did she really have to put that zinger on at the end? Yeah. But then, just as I was thinking, oops, I'm really in it for now. That's what she said. My dad staggered me by putting his nose right up to hers, looking her straight in the eyes and loudly declaring, "Ma'am, how dare you accuse my son of stealing?" I was even more surprised when after we'd marched out of the shop, he never said another word about it. Sometimes though, the power of unspoken word can be a frighteningly powerful thing, and my father's studied silence with me for the rest of the day spoke volumes. In addition, the fact that he'd immediately jumped in and vehemently defended his light-fingered son's integrity made me feel more guilt-ridden and miserable than if he had berated me in front of her. Dad's handling of the situation certainly taught me a hugely effective lesson. Not only did I never pinch another penny from my parents, but it also taught me a life lesson on the power of forgiveness. Yeah, this was important. And giving people a second chance. I'd like to say the incident also taught me the importance of giving benefit of the doubt, except in particular case my father was in no doubt whatsoever as to precisely what had been going on. Some business leaders have built their personal brand images and businesses around their quirkiness and outspoken eccentricity, be they hard-nosed, authoritarian, or just downright crotchety. Michael O'Leary, CEO of Irish airline Ryanair, once described his ideal customer as someone with a pulse and a credit card, and the same Lunch with Financial Times interview referred to British Airports Authority as the evil empire. But essentially, I'm not gonna read this entire story. What I'm gonna say is a later stage, right in the book. You see this part when he had a similar incident when he grew up. So, I had a very similar incident to my sweet shop experience much later in my life, only this time it was me who got to play the role of my dad. One day while sitting in Virgin Records, I took a phone call from the owner of a nearby record shop, who wanted to tip me off to the fact that one of our employees, whom he named, had been offering him piles of brand new Virgin records at suspiciously low prices and on cash only basis. When he signed off with the words, "I just hope he's not stealing them," I had a definite deja vu moment in my mind flash back to my identical sweet shop indictment as a boy. Sadly, the person that the record shop man named happened to be someone we considered one of our brighter young A&R people. Much as I dislike these kinds of confrontation, on this occasion I had no option but to haul him into the office and repeat what I had just been told. The poor guy went bright red and was clearly horribly embarrassed, but he made no attempt to deny or defend his actions, opting instead to simply apologize profusely and say there really was no excuse for his behavior, rather than firing him on the spot. However, as he had every right to expect, on the spur of the moment I opted instead to tell him that although he had let himself and the company down very badly, we were going to give him a second chance. The look of stunned amazement on his face said it all, and from that day on he worked his socks off for us and went on to have a stellar career, personally discovering some of Virgin Records' most successful artists along the way, Boy George's being one of them. So, just one, let's just say, piece of text from the story that I really loved. Richard, when he was young, he was caught stealing by his father and he defended him and then said nothing. This is quite contrary to what normally happens where you get the shit beaten out of you. But that brought out the best in him, and that also made him realize giving people second chances and forgiveness. This is something I think is very important in leadership. People just emphasize so much on you need to make the hard choices, but I quite often think that's just an excuse for your own inability, or just lack of understanding of another alternative option. If someone is being shitty depending on the situation, it might be a good idea to give them a second chance, to let them bring out the best in them. Because quite often I've been guilty of this mistake as well. The people we cut off sometimes end up being the best people, and all we had to do was be patient with them, which, if you're hot-tempered, would be difficult, but still, giving someone another chance, letting him bring out the best in him, and then him helping you out with your company is the ultimate sort of win-win, isn't it? I think this thing takes courage and does show your character a lot more than simply firing someone at the spot. I mean, firing someone is easy, but controlling your anger at that moment, judging the situation, and then giving the other person a second chance, bringing out the best in him is something that is quite admirable.